Hi, Liz. Hi, Colin. How are you doing? Excellent. Hi, Liz. Hi, Sia. Hope you're doing well. Hi, lovely to see you again, Liz. You're looking well.
Thanks. Good morning.
Morning. Hi, Sia. How are you doing? I hope you can hear me. And then we have Heather's Otter here. Isn't it weird when people's AI turn up before them? I've sometimes been in a meeting and I've had three people's AI, but the people aren't here yet. I'm thinking it's just me with AI at the moment. So that's interesting.
Otter is very quick.
Very true, very true. Okay, so I'm just going to let the room filter in. There'll be a few more people joining us, I believe. While we're waiting, if you want to go into the chat and put in what you want to get out of today's forum. So that really helps me because it means if I cover what you're looking for, then hooray. But if I don't cover something that you're looking for, it's something that maybe we can discuss on a one-to-one basis, or it could even be something that I use in a future forum. So it really helps me and makes sure that these forums are genuinely useful to people. So if you go into the chat and just put in what it is that you're looking to get out of today. Okay, we just got a few more people. So we've got Sunny joining us. Excellent. Hi, Sunny. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm really, really well. I've just told the other Sunny, well, we're just going to let the room filter for a couple of more minutes. In the meantime, if you just want to go into the chat and tell me what you hope to get out of the next 45 minutes. And then that helps me understand whether I've covered something, or if I haven't, it's something that we can cover on a one-to-one, or even better, it might even be something that I cover in a future forum. So it really helps me. So if you just go into the chat now, I'm just going to let it carry on for a couple of more minutes, see if there's anybody else joining us. Morning, Mia. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm really well. Lovely to see your face. Oh, it was lovely to see your face, but then she disappeared. Hopefully she'll be back. Okay, so Colin's put how to find out about speaking opportunities that is not too time consuming. Oh, that's an interesting one. That's a very interesting one. Thank you, Colin.
My pleasure.
Okay. And Mia hopefully should be joining us now. Okay, I'll leave it for another minute and we'll get started at 5 past. Anybody else joins us after that, they're just going to have to catch up or get the replay. Hello there, Mia.
Hey.
I was just
hey,
saying,
how are
to see your face and you disappeared. There's like something I said.
I know. I probably pressed the wrong button or something. Yeah.
Lovely to see you. Okay, so what I've asked the others to do is to go into the chat, Mia, and put in what you hope to gain from this forum. So it just helps me work out whether I've covered everything. And if I haven't covered anything, I can make sure I cover it at a later forum if we run out of time today. So yeah, just go into the chat and then that way I can come back to it later on today and see if I've covered everything. Okay, excellent. So Sia saying, not sure what to expect as I'm not an accomplished author yet. Lots of us aren't, Sia. Please don't worry about that. I was just curious as I'm an aspiring author and a speaker looking for speaking platform gigs. Excellent. I should be able to cover what you're looking for, Sia, today, so that's good. Sonny, where to start in terms of finding opportunities to speak, ways to make myself findable. Oh, that's good. I'm not entirely covering that, Sunny, but that has given me an idea of what I can do at a future forum. I'll cover bits of it and definitely will in the Q&A section, I'll give you tips, but that's given me some really good food for thought. Mia, ideas on how to get this thing started. Excellent. Okay, so let's get started. There may be a few more people that join us, but let's just get started now because I don't want to take up too much of your time. Okay, so let me just share my screen. So can you see this? Thumbs up so I can, yep, excellent. Okay. So let me go to my slideshow. Okay, so first of all, welcome to the Thought Leader Author Forum. Some of you have been here before, got a couple of new faces, so welcome. So today, this is going to be our agenda. So part one, we're going to discuss how authors use their books to land keynote speaking engagements, the 6 secrets. Now, just this is specifically for Sia, because Sia's thinking, I'm not an accomplished author yet. The tips I give you can be used by anybody. You don't have to be an author to use these tips. It's just that authors have this extra credibility, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So certainly I've noticed my authors especially, they just have more confidence when it comes to going out there and securing gigs. And also I think people treat authors with a lot of respect. So it really, really helps your cause when you're already an author. But do you need to be an author to use these tips to land speaking engagements? Absolutely not. I've even had a couple of my clients who are already accomplished speakers, accomplished paid speakers on the speaking circuit in the UK. And they came to me because so many people asked them, hey, why have you not written a book yet? So it can work the other way around. You don't have to be an author to become a keynote speaker, but it certainly helps, okay? And then part 2 is taking questions on speaking techniques, getting engagements, and anything else. So that is your time to ask me your questions, okay? And just so you're aware, if you feel like scribbling down notes, feel free to scribble down notes. However, tomorrow you will receive a workbook. Via email, my assistant will send it out, and that will go through everything that we covered today and a lot more as well. So you don't have to worry if you miss something. It's not like, oh my God, what did you say? It's all going to be in the workbook. And also we'll send you a link out. I love thanking people for giving up their time and coming to learn in the forum. So I will send a link out tomorrow as well, where just to thank you for attending the forum, you can pick one of these courses and we will make a donation on your behalf. If you're looking at this and you're wondering, I don't know which one to choose. Yes, I know, they're all incredible courses. Just do eeny, meeny, miny, mo. That's what I do, and just pick one. But at least you know you've done something wonderful in the world today just by attending the forum. Okay, so first of all, this is me doing my very, very first ever gig. This is in September 2020. That smile, I don't even remember getting on stage. I was that scared. There was over 150 people. This is my first gig, my first speaking gig. And I just want to make it known that I'd never spoken in front of people ever in my life before this event. Okay, never, ever done it. And I truly believe the reason why I got this gig was because I'm an author. Because for 2 reasons. First of all, people do treat authors with a certain level of credibility and respect. Yeah. A great example I would think of is, say you're at an event and somebody says they've got a YouTube channel. Are you even bothered? You'd be like, oh, okay, great. Someone would have to follow up with some kind of social evidence. For example, if somebody said, I've got a YouTube channel and it's got 50,000 subscribers, then your ears will prick up and you'll say, okay, tell me about your YouTube channel. If someone tells you they have a blog, again, that's not something that you really would care about unless someone follows it up with, I get 20,000 unique visitors a month or something like that. But if you have a book, a professionally written and published book, that in itself gives you credibility. You know, even if you don't follow it up with numbers, that in itself gives you credibility. Okay, so that helps when you're speaking to event organizers and you want them to book you. I'm sorry, someone, can everyone mute, please? Or I will, okay, just someone's got there. Okay, excellent. So yes, that helps, you know, just knowing the event organizers are going to take you more seriously because you're an author. The second reason is your confidence. your confidence soars as an author. These books, my clients write books. I have some of you, I'll just do a show of hands here. In fact, let me just come out of this because I'm interested to know. First of all, how many of you here are authors, have written books? So there's Colin and there's Anna Breeze. Excellent. Everybody else hasn't. Okay. So have any of you heard of the term a book as a business card? It's very overused. I don't know who it was that, was it Daniel Priestley that coined that phrase, or somebody coined that phrase, the book is your business card. I always thought, I didn't like it because I just thought I'd be very disappointed if my book was just a business card. My book is my manifesto. And I know all my clients feel that way as well. Their book is their manifesto. It's not just a business card. It is the most complete form of their message, their mission, their values, who they are, how they show up in the world. It's the most complete form. It's their manifesto. That's the best way to describe it. So when you have something that is your manifesto, that gives you confidence. I've had several clients tell me that pretty much any speech they will probably ever make is already in their book. It just needs tweaking for different organizations and different audiences, but pretty much everything they want to say on stage is in their book. That gives you so much confidence because you have your manifesto, you know what you stand for. It's just tweaking it to turn it into a speech that you put on stage. And that's it. Let me just go back to my slides. So yes, do you need to be an author to become a keynote speaker? Absolutely not. But does it really help you, especially when you're starting out? It certainly did with me. This is my very first gig and I was speaking in front of 150 people. I seriously doubt I would have got this gig if it weren't for the fact that I was an author. And I seriously doubt I would have had the confidence to do it if it weren't for the fact that I was an author. So I ran a poll on Monday and I wanted to ask my audience, say, you know, pick one. What do you think event organizers look for when booking a keynote speaker? And overwhelmingly, experience won. 64% of people said experience, with only 22% saying fame or celebrity status and 14% saying connections. Okay, just some of the comments I got. So we got Justin Lee saying, you know, I think experience is highly valued more by event organizers because it indicates the speaker has the skills. We've got Tracy saying, I voted for experience because I think you need someone who knows what they're talking about. Lisa Stalker, I think experience, so you have something that the audience will want. Tim is saying, I reckon it should be experience. A speaker's bringing that to the stage, a different story angle. That's just some of the comments. So a lot of people are going for experience. And I think that's one of the key reasons why a lot of people who don't have much experience, they get scared to even approach an event organizer. They get really scared of, because just saying, oh, I've never spoken in front of such a big crowd before, or I've only spoken in front of 10 people in the past. So then they put themselves, they just don't even apply, okay? We had a few people say something different. So we had Ace who said they look for speakers who can bring a large audience. I've talked to several organizers from small to large. It's the same expectation. We've got David saying fame, I think. And then there's a few people who actually said, well, all three of them. So you've got Mia saying all three options. And Milita also saying it's probably a mix. And they are right. But here's the thing. And there's actually one lady who really, she got it. And I was like, oh, Deirdre, I like you. You got it. Deirdre says, I suspect it depends on the organizer and indeed the event and audience. I can think of situations where each one of these would be more relevant than the others. So it's probably not a one size fits all. And I said, Deirdre, you've hit the nail on the head. It was a bit of a trick question because really it isn't about whether it's experience or fame or connections. You need to find out from the event organizer. And that's something we'll go into. That's one of the biggest things that's helped me get so many gigs. And I'll show you how to do that. This lady, she was fascinating. This is someone I've only got to know in the last few weeks. I've not known Deborah for very long. But I didn't realize Deborah's previous business of 28 years was supplying celebrities and inspirational speakers to the corporate market. This lady knows what she's talking about, guys. So she says, you know, awards, they look for the biggest name. Conference, they need experience. Brand face for ads, they need connections. I thought this is really interesting. And I answered saying, so what you're showing is that a potential speaker needs to familiarize themselves with the event organizer's objectives. That will give you a clue as to what you need to do. So let's go into it. So anyone who's followed me for any amount of time will know I love infographics, guys. I love mnemonics. I love anything that helps drill something into your brain. Because I don't know about you, I'm terrible with facts and figures. I just don't recall them. If someone gives me images and someone gives me, things like, acronyms, then I remember. So to help me remember how to get the best gigs, I think of gigs as in the acronym gigs. So the first G stands for generate publicity. I stands for impact the objective. And G, the second G, stands for gifts. If you keep gigs, the acronym, in your mind, whenever you're thinking of gaining speaking engagements, you won't go wrong, okay? So let's go through them. So the first one is generate publicity. Pretty much nearly all events need publicity. It's as simple as that. I think in my entire life, I've only ever been to 2 events that were closed, as in they didn't do any publicity. The events were so well known within those industries themselves that they don't even release who the speakers are or anything. People just turn up because they know it's going to be fabulous. Very, very few event organizers have events at that level. Most events, small or large, need publicity. And what I learned quite early on is most speakers, they think their job is to turn up and speak. And it's not their fault because, the clue's in the name of the job, speaker. So they think, well, that's what I need to do. I need to come and speak. Great. Believe it or not, that isn't your only role. If you can demonstrate to an event organizer that you can help them generate publicity, just even showing some willing to generate publicity, that's going to really make you stand out. So first of all, if you've already got a bit of an audience, say you have an email list or you have a reasonable following on social media or wherever you've got an audience, tell them that. Be very open. Say, hey, I've got an email list of about 1,500 people. What I'm going to do is, with the run up to the event, I'm going to do lots of publicity and get people to buy tickets. Or if it's a free event, get tickets, download tickets to the event. I will do lots of social media. I will talk a lot about it. I've had one client who's really into the local press, and he basically spoke to the local press again and again regarding this speaking event that he's doing and got the event so much publicity. If you can do something, make sure you let the organizer know, because that really will mark you out. So many speakers, and I'll repeat this just so it sinks in, so many speakers think their job is to speak, and that's it. It is, if you're a renowned speaker, if you're famous in some way, then yeah, just your name being attached to the event, that will generate publicity. But if you're not at that level yet, I certainly am not, then you need to show the event organizer that you're going to be their pal, you're going to be their ally, and you're going to be like, hey, I'm going to help you with the publicity. Okay. So whatever you can do, if you sat there thinking, well, I don't really have much of an audience, so I can't, that's fine. But even then, just show willing. Just say, don't lie to them. Don't say, oh, I've got loads of people following me on Instagram when you don't have loads of people. That's not going to work. But just show willing. Just say, hey, what I'll do is I'm going to post about this every few days. I'm going to do this, this, and this. Just tell them what you're going to do. If you don't have a huge audience yet, just don't tell them that you don't have a huge audience. Don't make up an audience, but just show willing. Even that might just, if say it's between you and one other speaker on a similar level, and you're just showing willing that you're going to generate publicity, guess who's going to get the gig? You're going to get it. The other person's not going to get it. So think of ways that you can generate publicity and demonstrate to them that you're going to generate publicity. The second one, I, is for impact the objective. This is a huge one. Find out, this is what this lady was talking about, these 2 ladies, okay? When I did this poll, it was a bit of a trick question. I was getting people to choose, what do you think event organizers look for? Guess what? You don't know what each event organizers look for. You shouldn't be guessing. You shouldn't be sat there thinking, oh, I think they go for experience. Oh, I think they're going to go for fame. You shouldn't be thinking anything. you should be contacting the organizer and finding out. That's how I've got some really, really good gigs, by actually speaking to event organizers and saying, hey, tell me what your objective is. I've had a look at your landing page so I can see your event is about, for example, combating climate change. Okay, but that's what you want. That's what you're telling people, as in what the attendee is going to get. But what is your objective? What do you want to get out of this event? You'll be amazed how happy event organizers are when you're asking them, but what do you personally want to get out of this? Tell me what your goals are. What is your short-term goal? What is your long-term goal with doing these events? Because believe it or not, people don't put events on for their health. It's hard work. Even a small event, any of you, if you've organized an event, it's hard work organizing an in-person event. It really is, even a small one. So people don't just do it because they just fancy putting an event on. So there's an objective. Find out, because that feels so good for an event organizer, because they feel like someone actually cares. And then once you know what that person's objective is, now you become their ally. You can collaborate with them and say, okay, well, how can I help you reach that objective? What can I do if I'm a speaker on your stage? How do I help you? And you can collaborate with them. Can you see how that is just so enticing for an organizer, that someone is actually taking time out of their day to say, tell me what you want, and then how do I help you reach this goal? What can I do? I mean, that's just like, again, most speakers don't even think of doing this. They're just thinking in terms of what's in it for me. I want to speak on the stage because I get kudos for speaking on the stage. I want to speak on the stage because I want to get loads of images I can stick on LinkedIn about me being a speaker now. All those things are great, by the way, you should be doing. But when you stop thinking about yourself and think about the organizer and what they want, that is so seductive to an organizer, because you just think, wow, this person cares about me and what I want. That is going to make a lasting, it's going to make a lasting impact on them, not just for this event, but future events. I've been booked for future events on the spot because of the way I've been collaborating with an event organizer. And they said, hey, can you come back next year? And they haven't even thought about next year yet, but I'm already being invited back for next year. Yeah. So really take that. That's probably the most important one. I like all of them. I do all of them, but that one really works. Impact the objective. Final G is gifts. Now this really works if you're an author. So what I've done, for example, is if it's in small events where it's a very, very targeted group of people that I believe are my target audience, who are likely to become my clients, I actually give my book away for free. Yeah, my book costs about under £5 to print and send out. So therefore, if I have, say, if I'm speaking to 50 people who are my target audience, that's £250. All I need is one of those people to become a client, and I've more than made up for the cost of me printing those books out. If it's a more general audience, what I've done, I've done this quite well. What I've done is most of the bigger events tend to have goodie bags. You get those free bags when you go into an event. So what I've done is I've printed out vouchers or leaflets saying that they can get my book for 30% off or 50% off with this voucher. And then what I've done is I've just had a booth where I've done like a book signing. And again, event organizers love that. They're like, oh, you're going to do a book signing. People love getting books signed by authors. I don't know what it is, but they love getting books signed by authors. I'm not even sure if some people even read the books that they've had signed, but they just want to say they've got a signed book. So again, that's a big draw for an event organizer to say, oh, I'm going to have an author who's going to be doing a book signing. So that's something you can do if you don't want to give away books because you're worried that it's a large general audience and you don't want to give away books because you could end up spending a lot of money. Now, if you're thinking, okay, I'm not an author, what do I do? This is when you get creative. Actually, let me just jump off my treadmill. This is something I did a couple of years ago, and I've still got a few of them. Give me 2 seconds. Here they are. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see this. So these are what I gave out a couple of years ago, because my book at the time was in editing, so it wasn't ready to go out. So I don't know if you can see these. I'm going to have to try and So it's got the veganpublisher.com. So that's my website. They're pencils. I don't know if you can see. So what they are, it's a pencil. And then once they're too short for your hands to be able to hold, this bit has got seeds in it. So you plant it and it turns into, well, this one was, let me see what these were. These were daisies. And then I had some that were pansies. I've got some lilies. I've got basil as well for the cooks. So, I mean, I'm not saying, well, if you want to copy that idea, go ahead and copy the idea. I mean, I can't exactly tell you not to. But it's all about being creative. What can you give people that is actually useful? I've gone to events where I get a bag full of stuff and it's just plastic tat. And I'm just thinking, what a waste of, well, first of all, it's plastic, which I'm against anyway. And it's just stuff that I don't want. If you can think of something that makes people go, oh, this is really cool, and they'll take it home with them. Everyone, by the way, took their pencils home. I even get messages now saying the pencil is now too short and they've planted it, and they're going to send me pictures and what the plant looks like. So it works and people remember me. So think of things that you can do, little things you do, and let the organizer know. Tell the organizer, hey, I was thinking of doing this. You can add that into your goodie bag. Are you doing a goodie bag for the event? And again, collaboration. It's a follow on from Impact the Objective. When you know what the event organizer's objective is, you can then you can even collaborate with them and think of ideas for gifts, things that you can add to their goodie bag that actually isn't just taking up space, but actually makes the goodie bag really interesting and something that people want. Okay, it's easier. Like I said, if you're already an author, it's very easy. Your book is the gift, whether you give it free or whether you give a discount on it or whatever you want to do. Just do like a just for this event only discount kind of thing. Okay, and that makes it very exclusive and special. But if you don't have a book, if you're not an author, just get creative. Think of things that you can do, little gifts that you can give. And again, the event organizer will love that, because it's adding to the value of their event. Yeah. So as I said, you will get all of these. If you've been scribbling down notes, don't worry. If you've missed anything, you will be getting the workbook. What I'll also have in the workbook, because I don't have enough time to go through this today, is I will show you how I went from not being able to speak in front of anybody to speaking in front of 150 people in 4 months. So I'll show you the step that I took to go from, I don't even know. I mean, I need to actually find this. On Facebook, I did my very first live. I think it was May of 2020. And I was so scared. This was a live, by the way, guys. It wasn't even like this where I can see your faces looking at me. It was a live where I can't even see anyone's faces. And yet I was so scared. I had to go for a walk in my local park and do the live. Because I thought, well, if I'm walking, people are not going to expect me to look directly into the camera, because I'll walk into a tree then. So therefore, they're expecting me to just glance and then look away. I couldn't even look at the camera. I was that scared. And then 4 months later, I was speaking in front of 150 people. So if any of you are thinking, hey, this has all been great, what you've taught me today, but to be honest, I've not even spoken in front of very many people before, so I don't even think I'm ready yet to go after event organizers. Well, guess what? In the workbook, I'm going to show you my 3 steps for getting good at speaking before you start going after the event organizers. Okay, so let me just come out of this. So first of all, did anyone get some gems in there? Hello, Sarah. Lovely to see you. Hope you're doing well, my lovely. So did anyone get any gems? Or did anyone think, oh, I've not actually thought of that, or I've never, or did all the opposite? Have you done some of this and thought, yeah, this works, or it doesn't work for you? I'd love to hear from you. Go for it, Anne-Breeze.
Yeah, I never really thought of that. I just love that idea that you were saying about contacting the organizer and just looking at, you know, how you can help publicize their event. And so it's like you're coming from that rather than going to them to see what you can get or see if, you know, it feels more empowering to be able to say, how can I help you? How can I be of service? You know, and then share it on your social media platforms to everyone you know. And I just think that's such a, you know, I think they would be interested in that and enjoy that.
Yeah, they do. And it kind of knocks them for 6 a little bit, because it just don't expect people to do that. They're like, I even had one lady when she just kind of took a sharp intake of breath and went, how lovely. How lovely. very, she just like, she just didn't know what to say. She's like, I love someone's actually contacted me, and just, she's like, it's really stressful organizing events. It's like, I can imagine. I wouldn't want to even be in your shoes. I don't want it. This is as much as I want to do, guys. You know, organize a weekly forum online is about as much as you're going to get from me. I don't really fancy putting on an in-person event because it looks like a lot of hard work and it's very, very stressful. Very stressful. When someone contacts them and says, well, tell me about what your goals are. What do you want to achieve? If you feel that person is open up, you can even ask, what are you scared of? What, you know, what would you feel as a failure? Obviously, be careful with those kinds of questions. You want to make sure that you feel that you have that kind of rapport with that person to ask them those kinds of questions. But if you build that kind of rapport, that fosters so much closeness. You know, I use the word ally. That's what that person will think of you as. You're no longer just a speaker. You're an ally of their event, and you want to see them succeed. That's huge, and that, trust me, just that feeling will get you some gigs, and even future gigs on events they haven't even organized yet.
Yeah, I just love that. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, so let me have a look at. Okay, so Colin, you asked about how to find out about speaking opportunities that's not too time consuming. Well, you can join speaking organizations, and then they usually have, you know, bulletins, or they have WhatsApp groups where people will put in, this is where you're going to get this is where the events are. I'll be honest with you, I joined a few of them. I joined a few WhatsApp groups, a couple of Facebook groups, and it was just ping after ping after ping, Colin, of events that I wasn't suitable for and I didn't really want to speak to either. So they're a bit hit and miss, you know. The best thing to do, I would say, is Google is your friend. You know, I said in my presentation, very, very few events. There are very few events where they don't publicize, what I call closed events. Most events are publicized. In fact, they want as much publicity as possible. So you can be sure that they are, or they're already all over Google. They're probably, if it's a professional event, they're probably already doing articles and various things on LinkedIn. Just search for event and just use the word event or seminar, that sort of thing. And then whatever, you know, event type it is that you want, and just search.
I suppose my worry is that they've already got this. If once they've gone public, they've got their speakers already.
Okay, yes, yeah, that's a very, very good point, Sam. A very good point, Colin. Okay, what I would do is then, guess what? That event is likely, if it's, first of all, it may not be the first event, so it could be something that's happening annually already. Or if it isn't, if it's successful enough, you can bet your bottom dollar, or bet your bottom pound, I should say, over here, that they're going to be doing it again. So you still
that's quite likely true,
contact them for the future. Just say, hey, I've seen you've done this event. Obviously, you've already got everything sorted, but I'm assuming you'll be doing this again next year. And again, this, you can still use the same tips, Colin. You can still say, okay, well, I remember one event, which again was already publicized, so I couldn't get in. But I still had a conversation with the event organizer, still sort of found out about what their objectives are, what they wanted to do from it. And because of that, when somebody pulled out from speaking, guess who they called? They're like, get in. But before we'd even done that, they were already saying, well, we're planning on doing this again next year, so we're definitely going to keep you in mind for next year. So even if that person hadn't pulled out, I probably would have been in for next year. It's actually this year. And I am speaking this year at this event.
There you go.
But I spoke last year because somebody pulled out.
Yeah, you've got to get in there, haven't you? Basically got to start somewhere.
Exactly. Just, you know, so many people just kind of, I think, I do love the online world. My business wouldn't exist if it weren't for the online world. I think that's for most of us now. Our businesses wouldn't exist if it weren't for the online world. But one of the downsides of the online world has kind of made us a little bit lazy now. We're not really willing to search. I'm like that with shopping. I get really annoyed if I have to go and search for clothes to buy. I just want to put into Google that I want this specific garment at this specific style, and I just want it to give me all my options and I can just choose one. We've become very spoilt in the same way. We just think, oh, it wouldn't be great if we could just find, these are all the speaking gigs available this year we're looking for. And it's like, that's not how the world works. Instead, just find the events and start contacting the organizers. even if all the speakers have already been announced, that's fine. It's not going to happen this year, but it probably will happen again next year. Or even if it doesn't happen again next year, I've even had event organizers who've left that organization and gone to another organization who contacted me and said, hey, do you want to speak? But they're now in a different organization. So
that makes sense.
Building those relationships with those organizers. Event organizers, the good ones, that is their life. This is what they do. Even if it's not for that, just for that one organization, they'll work for more than one organization, or they're working freelance. So you build that relationship, they will consider you for lots of other things as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that help?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Does anybody have? I'm going to carry on answering go on, Sarah.
Yeah, everything you're saying is really true, and that adding value to the organisers can have some amazing responses, because I've got a friend that runs speaking events down in London. They're sort of successful women business events, but they do have men speaking.
What you mean? Yes, I know who you mean.
Right. And they do have men speaking there as well. And actually people pay to speak at this person's event because he does websites for them and all sorts of things. And I signposted a couple of my friends. I know we had the conversation about this, Matali. I signposted a couple of my friends who actually took him up, because I just thought this would be great for them to get their voice out there. And out of the blue, because I'd done that, he offered me to speak on stage for free because I had helped him, right? Which I was just doing, I'm like Matali, just collaborate with somebody. He offered me to speak for 10 minutes on stage. It was 10 minutes, but 10 minutes, you can get a lot said in 10 minutes, right? And he then actually provided a media pack. So with please, can you to everyone that was a speaker, please, can you promote this on your Facebook, on your LinkedIn, say this, say that, and bring as many of your friends as possible, because it was free to attend for guests. Yeah. So in the end, I had like 10 guests there, because I sent it out to everybody I know, and it was in London, not everybody could come. But the reason, but he was so grateful because I was promoting it, and he actually asked all the speakers to promote it. And when Colin was saying about sometimes if it's already out there, they might have already got all their speakers. What he actually ended up doing was the people who just expected to turn up and speak and not do any promotion, right? He got rid of 3 speakers, so there ended up being 3 spaces for other people to come in. So you just don't know, do you?
You just don't know. Again,
no.
People are not asking the organizer, what's your objective?
Yeah.
Get out of this. And you've got to ask, because it's not obvious. So it's really not. When you look at the bump of events, that's usually written by a copywriter who's thinking about what makes it good for the attendee to attend that event. You're never going to find on a sales page or on LinkedIn or on an Eventbrite event what's in it for the organizer, because why would they be putting that out there? Do you know what I mean? You don't know what the organizer wants. You're guessing what the organizer wants. See, if you can start having a dialogue with them and start building that rapport to the point where they tell you this is what they're looking for, you become their ally. And that, you can't beat that. And thank you for sharing that, Sarah. I know exactly who you're talking about. I'm in touch with, I've been speaking to him a little bit as well. But yeah, I know that you were speaking. I missed that because I was in Canada at the time. I was going to come down and see you, but I was in Canada, so I couldn't make it. But yeah, wonderful story. So yes, I hope that makes sense. Now, what I'd love to do is, like I said before, do you need to be an author to become a speaker? No. However, being an author really does give you the confidence, because people treat you differently. I mean, I got a gig that, in fact, I remember when I came off. So let me go back to my slides here. So I remember when I came off, let me just go all the way back to here. I remember when I came off this stage, I don't even remember. I've now watched it back because someone's recorded me, but I don't actually remember. I was so scared. I just went on stage, just did whatever I did, and I came off it. And then the event organizer, Brad, was saying, hey, that was really, really good. I must have one of those faces. I've got a very good poker face. I must have looked really relaxed. And I was like, really? I don't remember any of it. Did I stumble on any words? Was I okay? And he looked to me, really, he kind of cocked his head a little bit and went, you've done this before, Matali. I was like, no, that was my first time. And he couldn't believe it, but he couldn't even say anything bad about me, because it's not like he asked me. If he'd asked me, said, have you done this before? I would never have lied to him and said, no, please give me the opportunity. but he never asked me because I sent him a copy of my book. So he basically thought, oh, this woman obviously does this all the time. This is just her thing. So does writing a book help you? It absolutely does. So what I'd like to do is, for any of you who haven't written a book and not in one of my programs, Colin, by the way, is in my program. So I'm looking forward to seeing his book, which is coming to fruition.
Coming soon.
But anybody else who wants to follow in Colin's footsteps and write a book that's going to really help you get those speaking engagements and give you the confidence, get in touch with me. This is some of the results that my clients have got. So they're able to land their own shows, get more referrals, charge more for what they do. This is the roadmap. We have it all laid out for you. A lot of people like the idea of writing a book, but they don't really know how it's going to fit in with their game plan. But we've mapped it out for you, so you know exactly what you're doing, what's going to go into the book, what's going to happen once you publish it, and exactly how you're going to leverage it for the long term. So we'll map that out for you. This is our Hall of Fame, because this is what, you know, what some of our clients have been able to achieve. They ended up in newspapers, on TV, working with influencers. So the goal of these strategy sessions is they're in 3 parts. We look at where you are now and where you'd like to be in 12 months. Part 2, what's going to get you there? It might be a book. It might not be a book. If it's not a book, that's great. I'll see if I can help you. I've got a lot of contacts. Sarah, my friend, has even more contacts. So if I don't know somebody, I'll probably tap up Sarah and say, who do you know that can help with this? And I'll send you to the right place. And part 3, only if writing a book does fit your plans and it is something that's right for you in 2024, I'll then show you my program, the Thought Leader Ecosystem. And that's when we can go through things like how long it takes, the different stages, how much it costs, and everything else. Okay. And we also thank you for booking a strategy call with us by giving you a chance to donate to one of these incredible courses. So actually what I'll do, let me come out of this. Let me actually put the link into the chat now. Okay, so it's in the chat now. So do book yourself in if you want to have a chat about your author goals. Okay, so let me have a look at something else. So Sia, you said not sure what to expect as I'm not an accomplished author yet. I was just curious. Has that helped you, Sia? Let me know if you want to. Does that make more sense regarding how you can approach event organizers? And if you can't come off on mute, it's fine. Don't worry, Sia. You can just, I think it's struggling to come off mute. Just put in what you want into the chat and then I can respond. So just wanted to make sure that that's been helpful to you. Sunny, so where to start in terms of finding opportunities to speak, ways to make myself findable, etc. Okay, really, really good question, Sunny. So first of all, I'll answer that in 2 parts. First part is let me just go back to my, if I can go back to my slides. If we go back to, where were we? Here. Okay, so this is what I've not been able to cover today. And this is how I went from being too scared to even do a live, where literally one person showed up, I think it was one of my neighbors, to 4 months later speaking in front of over 150 people. Okay, that will help you because that will show you steps how I started. So things like I joined a speech club, that really helps. Yeah, get used to speaking, and then you're speaking in front of maybe just, sometimes it's only 10, 11, 12 people online. Most of these places are online. Or I also joined an in-person speaking group as well, because I just thought online was really good to get started with, but then I thought I'm still hiding behind a laptop, so therefore I need to be in front of people and see how that works. But I will show you my steps on where to go and where to find these places. And then regarding, let me just come out of this, regarding being findable, Sunny, you have to, this is where Americans, I love Americans for this reason. They're very, very good at self-promotion. We get really humble. I don't know why. We just get really, really humble. So guess what you need to do? I learned from a very good friend of mine who's an influencer. She put on her Instagram profile that she was a model before she was a model. She decided she was a model one day. So she decided, I'm good looking enough to be a model and I'm good looking enough for brands to pay me to model their clothes. So she decided on Instagram to put in that she was a model. she's now a model. Brands do pay her to wear really nice clothes. She basically, I think the kids call it manifestation now. Is that what they call it? Manifesting? And Colin's doing a harumph, like, oh, manifesting. Yes, and I think that's what the kids call it now, manifesting. So she was manifesting. Guess what, son? If you want to be a speaker, just stick speaker on your LinkedIn profile. You'll be amazed how many people will contact you because you got speaker on your LinkedIn profile. So when they do a search for speaker, it's picking up people who've put speaker on their LinkedIn profile. Another thing, if you've got any images, even if you've just spoken in front of a few people, any images of you on stage, stick them on your LinkedIn profile. Or wherever. I mean, I'm saying LinkedIn because that's my big place. But I mean, if you're bigger on Instagram or Facebook or wherever, do that there, you know. But like the kids say, sometimes you have to manifest something before it happens. So make sure you when you're answering the findable question, how to make yourself findable. Absolutely. I've even got, in fact, let me show you. This really helps. So on my website, let me just share my screen. Oh, my phone's just pinged twice. So whoever's just booked, thank you. I look forward to seeing you in the next few days. That'll be awesome. Okay, so let me just share my screen. So can you see this? So this is my website. And then I've got a media room on my website. In my media room, I've got a ton, as you can see, there's images of various articles that have been written about me. It goes all the podcasts and shows that I've been on, links to all the shows that I've been on, and I've got images of me speaking. That's kind of like my social proof. So people come on here, and I've had people contact me and say, hey, I want to book you for my event on the strength of that media page. And it doesn't take much to just get, just to pay a tech person and just get them to do that. Just give them all the images and all the links to things you have done. And if you're thinking, yeah, but I haven't done much yet, that's fine. Just start small. My media page started off with just about 4 links. And now it just gets added to. The more shows that I do, I have an assistant that keeps adding to that page. So it gets more and more credible. But guess what? Not only is it giving you credibility, it's giving you link juice as well. Because you're linking to big podcasts and events and whatever you're doing. So the more links you put in there, that's making you even more findable on Google. Does that answer your question, Sunny?
Yeah, thanks. That's great.
Excellent. I'm glad that's helped. Mia, ideas on how to get this thing started. Do you feel like you understand how to get things started now, Mia?
I think so. But yeah, it's figuring out the time management of writing my book in the first place. Like you said, it's a good idea to write a manifesto on what my method is, which I think that I could easily do. It's just figuring out how to do that among all the other bills that I have to pay and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you're talking about modern life here, Mia.
And also, if this one lets me get any work done.
Yeah, you've got somebody who likes distracting you as well. I've noticed that.
Half the meeting trying to walk all over the keyboard, so I had a few times where I thought you were going to have to let me back.
That's interesting. Well, if you missed anything, you'll get the replay tomorrow. But yeah, I've been watching them, so they're not happy with the fact that you're giving us so much attention that they should get. So Anna Breezy said, this is really great, offering to be helpful. Yes, that's a lovely idea. Oh, thank you. I thought I was happy with that idea, Anna Breeze. I came up with it by myself. I was so proud of myself. But yeah, I mean, I got the inspiration because there was somebody at the event giving out business cards that were using seeded paper. So once you've gone home and you've kind of put that person's details into your phone, you can plant the card and it turned to a plant. But I didn't want to outright steal his idea because he's a friend of mine, so I kind of adapted it. But yeah, just think of things that you can do. If you don't have a book yet, there is still something of value that you can tell the event organizer that you'd like to bring to the event. That can clinch it. I mean, within reason. You just offering seeded pencils, is that going to suddenly get you the headline slot? Probably not. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be realistic. But does it make you stick out in that organizer's mind like a sore thumb? Absolutely. And that's what you want. When you see keynote speakers, always be very aware they didn't start off that way. You know, no one is born a keynote speaker. They started at the bottom as well. And you doing little things like that, thinking of gifts, thinking about impacting the objective, thinking about gaining publicity for them, that means you're going to shortcut that ride from complete newbie to keynote speaker. You're going to shortcut it so much compared to most people. And that's what this will do. Okay, so I think I've answered everything inside the chat. Is there any further questions or ideas or anything? Oh, I've stunned you all into silence, I see. Okay, well, I'm glad you got
I have a
everything.
question. Hi, Vitaly, Malte here. Hi. And it's kind of like the opposite. It's kind of like the opposite what we talked about earlier, what Sarah said, like kind of like paying to speak, kind of like the other way around. When is the right time to ask to be paid to speak?
Okay, that's a very, very good one. Thank you, Malte. Okay, when is the right time to be asked? Again, this is actually similar to when is the right time to write a book. It's actually very, very similar. There's a lot of people who we basically create our own boundaries. So if we believe, for example, that you need to have at least 10 years experience in a subject before we write a book, then that's what we'll do. If we're under 10 years, we'll think we're not, and then we'll get very annoyed when somebody with just 4 years experience writes a book because their boundaries was lower than your boundaries. It's the same thing with speaking. I know of some people who have that much confidence in themselves, they've actually asked to speak on their asked for payment on their very first gig. Now, so 2 of them didn't get that, but they did get their expenses paid. One of them actually did get paid. I didn't have the gonads, pardon my language. So the very first gig that I did it for free because I was just happy just to be accepted. So I can't answer that for you, Malte. I would say it's all about how much confidence you have that you are giving real value. But again, this goes back to the GIGS acronym. If you can demonstrate that you truly understand that organizer, then you can actually figure out how you're going to deliver something to them to the extent that they're going to love it. At that point, you could probably ask for payment because you really understand what that organizer wants from this event. And if you can demonstrate that you can give them what they want, so if you find out they want loads of publicity and you can give them a lot of publicity, for example, then you're in a good place now to ask for payment, or at the very least ask for expenses. And then obviously the more you do, the more confidence you get and the more likely you're able to ask for speaking. I now get paid to speak, but that did take me, I think I'd done 8 or 9 gigs before I got the confidence to say, hey, if you want me to speak, you should actually pay me to speak. But that again, I don't want to say that, I don't want to tell you that you need to wait until 8 or 9. It's all, does that make sense? It's all about your personal boundaries and what you think you're good enough. And that's why, again, I'm such a fan of authors becoming speakers, because there's something about, if you've taken the time to really create this book that is your manifesto, that does give you so much more confidence. And because of that confidence, a lot of authors do end up shortcutting how long it takes for them to become a paid speaker. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That makes total sense. Thanks so much.
I wish I
don't
could
think
give
for
you
me so much.
Sorry,
Yeah,
go on.
I don't think for me it's so much the confidence. It's more of the credibility, right? Kind of like what can you actually bring to the table, right? It's kind of like, are you worth the money you're asking for, and they're gonna pay it.
Yes, exactly. And again, like I said, this actually ties in beautifully to impacting the objective. If you can demonstrate to somebody that you know what their objective is and you can impact it positively, now you should have the confidence to say, actually, I should get paid for this. Yeah, it's easy to have confidence when you know you're actually giving value to somebody. If you're unsure, that's when you get worried and you start thinking, maybe I shouldn't ask for money. So always make sure you find out what the objective is for each event organizer.
I've just got one little point on that as well, because
Yes,
this exactly
go for
same
it.
happened to a friend of mine. So she was asked to speak at the university and do some workshops for some of the university staff. And then she collected feedback afterwards, and she did it for free because she hadn't spoken before. Exactly. And then following on from that, she got really good feedback. And then the person that had booked her to speak said, we're doing another event, and didn't even ask her to speak for free, just said, how much would you charge us for speaking at the next event? So her credibility had gone before her. So she plucked a figure out the air and they said, yes, that's fine. So I said, well, you definitely could have asked more
I
then.
bet you thought, oh, I should have doubled it now. Do you know what I mean? Probably kicking
Yeah, but
now.
that's her first paid speaking event. And she's literally over the moon because, and that doesn't mean she'll always charge every time she speaks, because, you know, it's nice to do things. It is nice to do things, you know, because they mean something to you, but to know that you have been paid as a speaker, it adds that credibility. So that was a sort of cyclical thing that happened for her.
Yeah.
She did it for free. She got good feedback. Then they said, well, how much would you charge for the next event? Because they obviously thought, well, if we ask her for free twice, we're taking the piss, so we better pay her.
Yeah, yeah. And it's all about confidence, isn't it? And
Yeah.
now that she's being paid, I'm willing to bet she's probably going to ask to be paid for different events now. Because she's going to be like, well, someone's paid me. This university paid me, so I'm worth being paid to speak. So absolutely, there is not. I mean, I also still do free speaking gigs, especially if I get like, you know, one of the veg fests asked me to speak. I know they don't actually make a ton of money, and so I tend to speak for their events for free. But I always think of other ways that I can make money. So I'm always still thinking of the bottom line. I'll do things like I'll do a special. I'm doing the gifts thing. So usually do a special on my books, and I usually find that I make money from selling my books. And also, every time I speak at VegFest for free, I always end up picking up 1 or 2 clients, which then more than pays for me being down there and speaking. So there's other ways that you can think of. Speaking isn't just, does that make sense? There's paid speaking as in literally being paid to speak, but you can also make money without getting paid to speak. You just need to factor that in. But yes, it's all about confidence. It really is all about confidence. Thank you for that, Sarah. Okay, well, I've just realized, God, you guys like sticking around with me, don't you? We're like well over time here, and you're still here, but thank you for still being with me. But does anyone have any final questions before I wrap up? No? Excellent. So the couple of people who've actually, because my phone pinged a couple of times, I'm looking forward to speaking to you. Yeah, let's have a session. Let's discuss your book idea and see if it's a goer in 2024. But yeah, otherwise than that, thank you so much for joining me. As I said, you will get your workbook tomorrow. Do have a look through that because it'll remind you. Please remember gigs, guys. Just keep saying gigs in your mind and keep remembering generate publicity, impact the objective, and gifts. If you can get even just 2 out of those 3, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb in the nicest possible way with every event organizer that you meet. So make sure you have a look through your workbook and really remember gigs. Thank you, Anna Breeze. Thank you, Colin. Really appreciate it. And yes, and remember, I'll also send you the link where you can choose a cause for us to donate to for attending today's forum. Okay, so thank you so much, and hopefully I will see you in a future forum. Bye, guys. Have a good day.